for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. Because what we know is when union wages go up, everybody's wages go up. When union workplaces are safer, every workplace is safer. When unions are strong, America is strong.
That was Vice President Kamala Harris campaigning yesterday on Labor Day in Detroit before heading to Pennsylvania to deliver her pro-labor message to a Pittsburgh Labor Day audience where she was joined by President Joe Biden. The president and vice president's Labor Day began as a work day in the White House, a very serious work day in the Situation Room. President Biden released this video yesterday saying, quote, Vice President Harris and I met in the Situation Room with the U.S. hostage deal negotiation team following the murder of Hersh Goldberg Poland and 5 other hostages by Hamas. We are devastated and outraged. Make no mistake, Hamas leaders will pay for these crimes. We also discussed next steps in the ongoing effort to secure the release of hostages and bring them home. Before the meeting in the Situation Room, President Biden said this to reporters.
Are you planning to present a final hostage deal to both sides this week?
We're very close to that.
What makes you think that this deal will be successful in a way that the other deals were not?
Hope springs eternal.
Mr. President, do you think it's time for Prime Minister Netanyahu to do more on this issue? Do you think he's doing enough?
No.
Mr. President, what is your reaction to the demonstrations across Israel? What is your reaction to the demonstrations?
I'm going to get the detail when I walk in, and I'll talk to you after that, okay?
In Israel yesterday, there were mass demonstrations, including a general strike led by Israeli protesters who blamed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for failing to negotiate the release of all the hostages. The Justice Department, led by Attorney General Merrick Garland, charged 6 leaders of Hamas with conspiracy to murder U.S. nationals and other criminal charges in a 38-page criminal complaint unsealed today in the Southern District of New York. Today, Attorney General Garland said, the charges unsealed today are just one part of our effort to target every aspect of Hamas's operations. These actions will not be our last. Donald Trump issued written statements on social media this weekend blaming Hamas's execution of the hostages on President Biden and Vice President Harris. Donald Trump never mentioned Benjamin Netanyahu in his public statements. Donald Trump did not say whether he agrees with President Biden that Benjamin Netanyahu has not done enough to secure the release of hostages. Donald Trump did not say whether he agrees with the Israeli people who say that Benjamin Netanyahu has not done enough to secure the release of the hostages. Donald Trump did say that he looks forward to discussing this issue at the debate next week, but you can be absolutely certain that Donald Trump will not say one coherent sentence about what his policy would be involving Israel and Hamas. While Donald Trump did nothing on Labor Day, Kamala Harris brought her boss with her to campaign in Pennsylvania.
Kamala Harris, so proud of the greatest job creation record of any president in a single term in American history.
It was all about jobs and economic development in Joe Biden's Labor Day speech supporting Kamala Harris for president.
Now, I'll tell you something. Kamala and I are damn proud that we protected the pensions of over 1 million workers and retirees. Union workers are rebuilding American infrastructure and building new factories here in America. They told me we couldn't get anything done in infrastructure. $1.2 trillion we got done. Remember Trump, for 4 years, promised every month infrastructure week. For 4 years he promised that. He didn't build a damn thing. Nothing. I mean, not nothing. But thanks to our infrastructure law, Pennsylvania so far has received $17 billion. $17 billion. Over 2,000 projects, from clean water to affordable high-speed internet for every Pennsylvanian. The projects that include $858 million to expand the Montgomery Lock better to accommodate bigger barges, to get millions of tons of goods and shelves faster, more reliable, and create thousands of union jobs.
Joe Biden was very much at home campaigning in that Union Hall in Pittsburgh.
When you're in Pittsburgh, you're standing with steel workers. Let's be clear. I believe in American steel companies, American-owned and operated steel companies.
Joe Biden told the Pittsburgh audience about what he called the single best decision he made as president.
Let me tell you about this woman. I know her. I trust her. Not a joke. I trust her. Number two, the first decision I made, the nominee in 2020, was selecting her as my vice president. And by the way, it was the single best decision I made as President of the United States of America. I've watched it when all the experts, foreign and domestic policy, would give us advice, then we'd sit alone in a room, and she has a backbone like a ramrod. And she has the moral compass of a saint. This woman knows what she's doing. Folks, I promise you, if you elect Kamala Harris as president, it'll be the best decision you will have ever made. And Kamala believes as I do. The unions are the spine of this economy. She'll be a historic pro-union president. So, folks, we got one more job to do together. Let me ask you, are you ready to fight? Are you ready to win? Are you ready to elect Kamala Harris our next president of the United States of America? In the process, are you ready to make Donald Trump a loser again? I've never been more optimistic about America because we have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America. There's nothing, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, there's nothing beyond our capacity. Nothing. When we do it together. And that means elect my friend, our great Vice President, President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Vice President Harris began her remarks by thanking the man who introduced her.
And I have spent more time with this extraordinary human being when the cameras were not in the room, when the stakes were high, when the heat was intense. And Joe Biden has always stood with the workers of America and labor unions of America. Always. Always. And I say to all of the friends here, the press that's in the room, history will show what we here know. Joe Biden has been one of the most transformative presidents in the United States that we have ever witnessed.
Vice President Harris outlined the stakes in the election this way.
You know, in this election, there are two very different visions for our nation. One, ours, focused on the future. The other, focused on the past. We fight for the future. We fight for a future of dignity, respect, and opportunity for all people. So we're 64 days out from this election. Ballots in Pennsylvania will start dropping in 14 days. But as we fight to move forward, Donald Trump is trying to pull us backward, including back to a time before workers had the freedom to organize.
He's going to jail.
Well, the courts will handle that, and we will handle November. How about that? We'll handle November. Let the courts handle that other thing. But we're not going back. We're not going back. And one of the ways we're going to guarantee we don't go back is that we remember. Right? It is important to remember what that was and what it is. Remember, as president, Donald Trump blocked overtime benefits for millions of workers. He opposed efforts to raise the minimum wage. As the president said, he appointed union busters to the National Labor Relations Board. And don't forget, he supported so-called right-to-work laws. And if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he intends to give more tax cuts to billionaires and big corporations. He intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. He wants to impose what, in effect, would be a national sales tax. I call it the Trump national sales tax on everyday products and basic necessities that would cost a typical American family, the economists have said this, almost $4,000 a year. He intends to repeal the Affordable Care Act and take us back to what we remember, because it wasn't that long ago, was a time when insurance companies could deny people with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was? Children with asthma, breast cancer survivors, grandparents with diabetes. Well, look, America has tried those failed policies before, and we are not going back. We are not going back.
Leading off our discussion tonight is Quentin Folks, Principal Deputy Campaign Manager for the Harris-Walz campaign. Thank you very much for joining us again. Now, I have told the audience of this program for most of the last year that they can ignore polls, wait till we get to August, and especially wait until we get to after Labor Day to begin to look at the polls, because that's when they begin to reflect a voting reality.